to know him like really well when I went to law school at Vanderbilt, because their offices were right across the street. And every Friday I got peppy, or I mean, I got happy, and we'd go to the distillery, we'd go to sales meetings, we just every Friday for 3 years, and I learned the industry from him.
Now, Harlan Sanders.
Well, I was his first employee.
Really?
Well, sort of. He didn't have a white suit then. He had retired in the fall of 1955. At 65, he got one Social Security check.
Right.
He was driving Claudia crazy, the way Dad was driving Mom crazy. And he had he had figured out how to use the pressure cooker to bring chicken, but it was just a local thing.
Right.
And so he decided to make it bigger, but not in restaurants. He was going to take the pressure cookers out and sell the process.
Okay.
It was a nickel a chicken, a handshake, and he would go to existing restaurants, one in every small town. And he would stay with friends. And Dad was a friend because he had a little motel in Corbin, and we'd stay with him when we'd go down to Tennessee football games.
Okay.
And so he was up. I was getting my driver's license.
Now, why were you going to Tennessee football games?
Because Kentucky was playing.
Okay. Just checking.
And so he would, June 1, I just got my driver's license. It was about noon, and I drove home. Oh, I was excited, and he was there.
Okay. Great.
And he was going to spend the night at the house. And he said, "You doing anything?" And I said, "No." He said, "Well, why don't you drive me?"
Oh, really?
And we didn't spend all, so I did it about 4 or 5 times.
Yeah.
But I drive him out, and my job was to put the menu clip-ons and then help him get the shit back in. And he had a pickup truck then. Had the pressure cookers on the back. I would drive him, and he would do his business. Of course, no cell phones, nothing. Everything's on paper.
Right.
But that was his office, was the right-hand side of the front seat of the truck.
What was he like in his sort of customer relations? When he met with people, what was it?
Oh, that's a great question. There were 2 of him.
Yeah.
The first 2 is the greatest salesman that ever lived. And I mean that salesman with a purpose.
Right.
Because it was goal-oriented sales. He's a nice man. And then the other side of him was when they started screwing around with what he told them how to do, and they weren't doing it right. And we didn't see that till the second or third time, and we didn't see it much. But when we did, he went berserk. Matter of fact, I fussed at him. Now, can you imagine this 16-year-old fussing at the guy that in 5 years was going to be the most famous living person in the world? I told him I thought that was a little over the top. He really got outraged with it. He said, "No, it wasn't either." And I said, "How come?" He said, "Well, we won't have to do it again." And the word got, it's before Facebook, I'm telling you, and the word got out. Don't fuck with the colonel's process. Make sure that you're doing everything exactly like he told you to do. Because he was a true maniac for doing it right.
Yeah.
And I always respected that. I'd say that was the main learning from him for me.
Now, when you took over, and obviously quality control is a big part of Maker's legacy.
It's everything.
Did you find yourself having to use his tactics to get people to remember that, or did you have a different style?
Well, remember, Dad, I never really learned much about making whiskey because he didn't need me down here.
Right.
My job, if we're going to make this other than his hobby, was to go find customers.
Okay.
So, and like I said, I got lucky after a while because the Wall Street Journal stumbled in down here, and then my job became, well, we'll give you 2 bottles and give you 1 and give you 3. And
Right.
so I didn't have to get real proficient at that, but he never